Good afternoon. Let's kind of get started. We've got a couple of things to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about this one. This was like the driving factor. I feel like this was the cool kid on the block. Everybody was really excited about Microsoft Loop, and I think it's been out now for a couple years. I almost want to say it's like 3 years. Um, and it was the one that was probably the most popular, gaining traction. And then this thing called Copilot came and stole its lunch, and the poor Loop team was like, we're no longer popular. No, they are. They're a big part of kind of our collaboration story, and we're hoping to kind of demo some really cool things around this. I know internally with Microsoft, we use this all of the time. So here we go. All right. So to kind of like just set the tone a little bit, this is something that we find really interesting. This is something we believed in definitely a couple years back. We're still firm believers of this, where we have this incredible moment in time where we can change the way that we work. For many years, it's been the same way. It's been all things office. Obviously, it's in every single Fortune 500 company. It's something that a lot of us grew up on. Our parents are using this. We're using this, and it's being taught in schools left and right all over the world. But the way that we actually work is starting to shift because of demands, because of AI, because of everything under the sun. And when we look at this, we start trying to figure out exactly like what's going on, what is changing. And we found some really kind of interesting stats over here that I thought kind of stood out. My favorite one is 42% of meeting participants are multitasking during calls. I want to call that's a lie, that's a fib. It's way higher than 42%. I want to say it's like 80, maybe 90% of the time of the people are multitasking. But this is interesting. We have more people staying at home, not necessarily going to the office every single day. The I also want to say that the 153% increase in number of meetings per week, mine feels like about 400%, especially with the way that things have been going post-COVID. So obviously, we see a massive change in the way that people are working, and we need to do more, right? We need to do more. We need to work a lot quicker. We need to be more efficient. And this is where Loop really comes to play. So from a challenge perspective, right? So we have a couple of interesting pieces over here where we all know the concept of collaboration. We've been collaborating for a good number of years. We have Office products where we've had Word and PowerPoint, and all of a sudden we need to prepare for a presentation or just kind of get on the same page. We'll share that with each other. We'll both jump online, right? And although that's great, that's probably, I want to call it, the older way kind of looking at things. Can we still work that way? Absolutely. Can we work faster? That's the question, right? How can we be a little bit more pinpointed at what we're trying to accomplish, right? The other thing that we struggle with from a challenge perspective is the fact that we have so many places to collaborate. OneNote, Word, Stream, maybe we're working on a couple different PDFs or PowerPoints. I mean, even from just a storage perspective, there's so many different storage locations, right? So then we start running into the how do we find things? Where are we? Are we getting the answers that we really want? How much time are we spending looking for things? And don't get me wrong, like I am like a powerhouse OneNote user. I can search with the best of them, but it's not even going into OneNote. It's just dealing with Stephanie sent me a message, and then all of a sudden I'm like, where is this message? In which one of these applications or platforms is it? And then what also ends up happening, right, is what we're dealing from an app perspective, right? Obviously, from a workflow perspective, shifting back and forth. All of a sudden, we're in Outlook and we're creating some ideas, and then we have to go and copy that and move it over to Word to kind of clean this up and maybe make this a little bit more presentable. And after it's ready, then we go and we send it off to PowerPoint. I was like, come on, guys. Like, we just went through like about 3 different phases, and we could have just crank this out. And I will tell you from a Microsoft perspective, this is like code talk. Like, hey, you got about 3 minutes, let's crank this out. Like that's how we work. We're like, absolutely. And when we do that kind of stuff, we're talking about loop, right? Just because we're all in different time zones, we're all in different locations, right? And we're focused on, on what we call it the opportunity. How do we go and how do we actually go and make this feasible? So from a collaboration perspective, it's all about coordination, right? So it's not just about sharing documents, but being able to just quickly see exactly what are people working on, what are they focused on, what are they, how quickly can I get that information without waiting for an actual sync? We want to make sure that we see everything in one place, right? So I don't have to go and edit 3 different locations or 3 different versions. So what if we can edit something once and have it be the same everywhere, right? And obviously we want to stay in sync and stay on track. So here's what I want everybody to do. Feel free. I'm going to be kind of going through a couple of slides and then I'm going to go straight into a little bit of a demo. And I know some of my colleagues are going to jump in and give some tips and tricks and such, right? But in the meantime, if you want to figure out how to get there, I'm going to show you a couple different ways of getting there. Loop.microsoft.com is kind of my go-to. I want to say that's my home base. But the funny thing is that everybody is going to be accessing this totally different. It's almost like what feels like 3, sometimes 4 products kind of put into one with Loop. So loop.microsoft.com is going to take you kind of to what I'll call like a little bit of a dashboard, where you can see exactly all of your workplaces and all of your pages. And I'll talk about exactly what that looks like in just a second. But here, this is kind of a great visual of what Loop could look like. And one of the things I kind of wanted to point out is when we were creating Loop, it's one of those things where we wanted to focus on how do we make this fun, quick, and social, right? But also effective, right? And this is some of the things that you're going to be able to kind of accomplish with Loop. So let's break it up into the core elements of Loop. Right now, we're going to focus on just 3 pieces, right? And I'm going to work backwards from what you're seeing here. I'm going to actually start in the workspaces all the way to the right. So a workspace is, I want you to almost think of this as kind of like a notebook. And it's there you go, Stephanie. It's a trapper keeper. All right. And instantly everybody starts freaking out because maybe you're like me, a hardcore OneNote user, and they're like, oh, Loop is gonna kill OneNote. I remember when we first launched Loop, if I had $1 for every email that I got saying, are you killing OneNote? Are you gonna kill OneNote? OneNote is not going anywhere. OneNote is very, very much alive and strong and here to stay. But Loop is a little bit different. I want you to think of this as a trapper keeper, as a notebook, right? Where it could have multiple different pages. There's different kind of components. So when we think about this, I want you guys to think about this from a project perspective, right? If we're doing what I'll call quarterly projects, this is our Q1 project. We're going to do a workspace that's called Q1 and then the name of the project. Or we're working on something for a couple of months and we got to make sure we have plenty of documentation and we got to go in and just get the whole team behind this. Workspace is absolutely perfect for you. Then we have, in the middle, we have this thing called pages. And some of you might have seen pages already, right? You might have seen pages. For example, we just made a big announcement with our Wave 2 announcement with Copilot, right? Where now when you're actually using Copilot, which is AI, right? If you're using some of our AI and M365 Copilot, you're able to basically move stuff over into pages. That's exactly what this is. So I want you to imagine a collaborative page that is very, very simple to templatize and move and add a couple different components in there and be able to add different people. And I want you to think about it as a easy piece of paper where you can go and you can share back and forth and write notes and add anything from videos to links to content. It's a wiki on steroids, where it's so much more flexible than a traditional wiki. And that's what Pages is. But not all of us need a full page. Not all of us need that much space. We just have a simple question where we need to collaborate on one little thing. And that's exactly what components are. So components are little small sections within your pages, right? Your pages are a page that lives inside of different workspaces, right? So, but components is, and I'll show you a couple different examples. The traditional example is the what are we eating for lunch, right? What type of drinks should we make sure that we order ahead of time? And all of a sudden you want some feedback from a bunch of different people. In the past, the way that we would handle this, and I was having this conversation a little bit earlier today with a colleague, was, you know, everybody goes and puts something in there, and then we used to screenshot this. And then we grab that screenshot and then we email it to it. It's like, hey, this is the menu, or here's what we're thinking about doing. And that's great until somebody like me changes their mind. And then all of a sudden, that screenshot is not accurate anymore. And then we ordered the wrong food or we did the wrong thing. And it's all because we weren't working on a live kind of document where you know that the version that what you're seeing is the latest as of that second, right? So a component is always going to be live. It's always going to be accurate. You're going to be able to see exactly who's on there, what they put. So think of that as a small kind of little section. Now, they're like evergreen post-it notes. Nice. So how does this work? Well, Loop is tied to a bunch of different areas of the business, right? So we can, what I'm going to kind of focus on for today is going to be really around Outlook and Teams, just because it's really the quickest, easiest one to really, really focus on. I think it's where everybody's going to kind of go and get the most amount of their value. So here's some ideas of uh, how people could use from a very, very high level, how people could use Loop, right? Obviously, collaborating in small groups doesn't have to be a small group. I think it could be a large group. Just, I think once you see about 50 people and 70 people inside of a page, it gets a little bit crazy there. But if you're working with 5 with 10 people, or even with sometimes it's just two of us, right? This is absolutely perfect. If you need to keep track of different type of deliverables or make a quick decision and you want to get the latest information on something, this is perfect for that as well. We work across different time zones. It's very, very normal for us to be working with multiple different engineering teams that happen to be in some are in Vancouver, others are in Toronto, and then we're working, for example, one of my absolute favorite teams is based out of Israel. So there's a big, big time gap. And one of the things I'm always wondering is, did they get my email? Are they awake right now? Or did they edit this? Did they even open this? Did they look at this? These are the kind of different things that kind of roll through my mind. And when we're collaborating inside of Loop, I know that the second that they saw this, they opened up the email. They don't even need to respond back to my email. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. But if they went in there and they actually did one small change, all I have to do is open up my version of Loop and I will see it right there. And obviously using this across different apps and different ecosystems from a productivity perspective. Okay, that was kind of the quick intro. I'm going to skip this video, but I'll make sure that you guys have access to this. I'm actually going to share this whole presentation with you guys. I don't think I added the video. I mean, I don't think I added the audio in here, which is fine, but I'll show you a couple of different kind of live real-time co-authoring of what this could look like. So we're going to show you this in what this looks like inside of Teams, what this could look like inside of Outlook. You can see multiple different people. And I think everybody instantly goes into like this mindset of what you're seeing is very similar to what we can do inside of Word from a collaboration perspective, or maybe if you're familiar with like a Google Docs. Yes, but it's so much more, especially from a safety and a security perspective. There are times where I want to go and I want somebody's feedback or somebody's input, but I don't want to go and share this 40-page paper with them. There's sensitive information in here that honestly, they don't need to see for whatever reason. And which is perfectly fine, but their input is absolutely crucial. And I don't want to go back and forth and sharing a document with them, getting their input, putting it in here, and then having something change. So what if I could just say in a small component, hey, I would love your feedback, or can you help me rewrite this paragraph or this small section, right? And just give them access to that and paste that into my actual document that's more official. This is exactly what Loop can do and can do really, really well. All right, hopefully you guys are enjoying my Big Owl images. Every single image that I have here, at least the Big Owl ones, I'm a huge Big Owl fan, uh, were created with AI. So I went in there and I wanted to make sure you guys really got to see Big Owl here from a loop perspective. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go straight into let's go straight into the website. So I'm going to go into loop.microsoft.com. Mine's going to look maybe just a little bit different. I'm in probably in an earlier version. We tend to dog food um, our own technologies before we kind of go GA with the general audience, right? So in this case, I'm in Loop. Is by the way, you can go loop.microsoft.com, and then we're actually changing everything. So loop.cloud.microsoft will get you there as well. So the first place that it lands is you're going to see some of my workspaces. By the way, this is not a demo environment. This is kind of like my real life. And at first, I thought I was going to go crazy with workspaces because I'm such a OneNote guy. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna absolutely love this. And then you're gonna see that I've really shifted into a components fan. But in this case, I've got a couple of different things that we have a coffee and co-pilot kind of call that we were setting up and we thought, hey, let's collaborate, let's make sure we've got all the right speakers, etc. I have some friends that are basically we call them ninja brainstorming sessions. And this is where we just kind of like put random stuff in there, right? So you see some different components, you see some different images in here. I'm going to kind of go through the process of creating a new one, but I just want to, before I kind of go and do that, I want to make sure I walk you through this left-hand navigation bar over here. Obviously, I can search if I want to kind of search through specific pages inside of any of these workspaces, or if I have multiple uh, workspaces, you'll be able to find them much quicker. You're also going to see that there's some time in here, right? So this is going to be not based off of creation, but based off of the last time that you were in here editing some of these. You'll see plenty of notifications if there's been any kind of changes. Listen up, guys, I'm not a notification fan, but when it comes to Loop, I am, because I know it's going to be quick and to the point. In this case, I can see some recent stuff. I can see some little different ideas if I want to kind of jot out different ideas, meeting notes, etc. And then my most recent stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here. I'm going to click on a new workspace. So for this purpose, I'm just going to kind of create one. I'm going to say Demo University of Alabama. It helps when I spell Alabama, right? There we go. And no, I am not screaming at anybody. I am a big fan of caps, so don't laugh at me. I always type in caps. I do change it for emails, but in this case, I'm gonna leave it alone. So I can go ahead and I can change the icon instantly, and it's gonna go say, hey, do I want to go and add any type of any kind of icon? And absolutely. I want to have my little version of Big Owl there. If I want to go and update that cover, it lets me choose from different stock images. I'm a super visual person, so I'm constantly trying to go and change this up. And I can go and I can search different things in here. I don't think we have any elephants in there. Oh, wait, we did. That was really cool. There we go. So I want to say this is very much Big Owl right here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to hit update in there, and then it's going to ask for a sensitivity label. This is very important. This is based off of your organization. That might be turned on, that might be turned off, but this is important because this is going to be the thing that says, hey, what type of access do I want? Not just for me, right? But more importantly, it's really to make sure that this doesn't go into the wrong hands or that somebody has visibility into something that they shouldn't see. So the more important this is, the more confidential or highly confidential that you want to make this. Obviously, these are the way that we have it, highly confidential, internal only. We have NDA, external, but for this case, I'm going to keep it nice and general. And then who do I want to invite? So in this case, I want to invite a couple of my close friends. There's Bill right there. I want to go and invite Mrs. Stephanie Stevens. Oh, Dr. Stephanie Stevens. Wow. You earned it. My apologies. I stand corrected. And I'm going to go with Dr. Daring Clay as well. So I know he's always sending me loops. So this is my turn to go and send them a couple of different things. So it's going to ask me, hey, what is this going to be about? And this is just a great kind of little description in here. So I'm going to say this is going to be a brainstorm session. Brainstorm Storm things, UA that we love. So while it's doing that, you can see some of the tags that are automatically going and being created. Oh, also before I hit create, you're going to start seeing some of the files. Okay, just based off of the whatever it is that I started typing, you're going to see, hey, there's some loops that I've created already around the University of Alabama, Copilot dashboard. Here's a presentation that I was doing earlier with all things Copilot. So you see all this stuff kind of populating, and these are just documents. So I can automatically start bringing things in here if I want to. But for this case, I want to kind of keep it nice and clean. I'm going to go and hit create. And now I have a workspace that is very, very empty, right? So these are my pages, and this might be familiar, kind of semi OneNote-ish if you're familiar with OneNote. But now I can go and I can create as many pages as I need to. The first one's always going to be called Untitled over here. So I'm going to say over here, University Themed Ideas for social media. Perfect. As I kind of go and I scroll down, we can apply your workspace sensitivity label. There you go. It's because I made it generic. All right. So I can go and I can reuse an actual page, or I can use a loop template. I strongly, strongly suggest if you are brand new to loop, check out some of these templates. They are absolutely amazing. So here's what it did. It started showing me all 24 templates, which is awesome because I know we still have 12. So we keep on adding more and more templates in here. And I would click one by one, just kind of taking a peek at it. So this is a project brief. I love the emojis. Is that the correct phrase over here? I love the emojis that we have here. I love the fact that it's giving me a nice little description. Now, am I going to use this exactly like it is? No, I'm going to go and I'm going to edit this, but I'm trying to figure out what is the best version of this. And once again, you can delete as much as you want in here, but I want you to just kind of see this because this is what's truly going to tell you what is possible. In this case, I can see, hey, if I want to focus on team members, name, role, location, core working hours, 8 to 4 PST. I wish those are my, it's more like 8 to 8 or maybe 24 hours. So in this case, I've got some project deliverables. This was a question that I was being asked earlier today. They were like, hey, I want to go and I want to create a couple of different tasks. I want to have due dates and I want to go and put specific type of tags. I was like, yep, you definitely want to use Loop because this is perfect for that. Yes, there are other products as well that can do that. But in this case, I can go and I can assign this. And this assigning is very, very important. When you mention somebody, when you call somebody out, it's going to automatically email them. It's going to take them right to Loop and it's going to say, hey, there's a task here for you to do. I love the fact that you have due dates. I can go and I can hyperlink to that. And obviously I can create as many different types of tags as I want. Here's a great example of what links could look like, right? If I want to go and add specific links, doesn't have to look like this. It could actually just be a simple hyperlink the way that we're used to in something like Microsoft Word as well. And then if you have Copilot, you can go and edit with Copilot, which is a nice little feature. So while you guys are maybe following along in loop.cloud.microsoft and you're in there and you're creating your own workspace, it's okay. Create one for just you. I really, really think that's a phenomenal idea to just start. You don't have to go and share this with anybody just yet. You can just create one for your own personal use. And then keep on clicking over here on all of the templates. Take a look. You see that some of the stuff is very, very familiar. You see the table format, you see the list format, but now it's focused on ideas, pros, cons. You can even vote, which is really, really nice. I like this feature from a voting perspective just because I don't feel like everything needs an official like poll. For me to go and create a poll, I just want to know, hey, do you guys like this, +1 or not, right? In there. So we got project planning, we have meeting notes, we have a product wiki, which is really, really cool. There you go. Some of the same kind of themes. Also notice the different colors that you can do in here from a tag perspective. I am very curious to see this Action Heroes because I've actually never seen it. Okay, so I've got some objectives. I've got some action items. Okay, so Action Heroes is all about action items. Okay, that makes sense. Issue tracker, if this is not meant to replace any kind of like ServiceNow or any type of ticketing system that you have, But I think it's important when you do have any small type of issue and you want to say, hey, let's just track this internally. This is a nice little way of doing this. And Stephanie, keep me honest here because I'm going to totally destroy this word. Is it Kanban or is it Kanban? Kanban. Okay, that's what I was going to go with.
But the Spanish speaker.
The Spanish speaker wants to say Kanban. Okay. You know, you call it whatever you want, but this is something that is really, really cool as well. So kind of just take a look that you can go and you can take a peek at anything here. I'm going to go with something nice and simple. I'm going to go straight to the project brief in this case, and I'm going to use this template. Here we go. Now that I chose project brief, if for whatever reason you're like me and you're a fast clicker and you're like, oh, I picked the wrong one, it's okay. Go over here, create a new page. You can start again and start from a loop template in there. So it's totally up to you. If you accidentally created that page and you want to go and delete this, you want to move this. So in this case, I can duplicate this. So you can see some of the really, really cool things in there. In this case, I'm just going to hit delete, which is fine. All right, now I have my friends in here. I know that I can see who I've invited. I remember that I invited, there's Bill, there's Darren, there's Stephanie. In there, if I want to go and copy the link of this workspace, I can. I can actually go in there. I know that they already received an email, but now it's creating a copy of this link and I can go and send it to them in Teams or any other type of messaging application or maybe even Outlook in there, say, hey, make sure you guys join. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take a little bit of a peek around some of these project deliverables. This is something that really intrigues me. So I want you to notice I can sort this, and when I'm sorting this, I can change the order. I can move things up and down. I can go click and drag this anywhere that I want. Everything is totally draggable over here. I can filter this. I can expand the tables and such. I can go and get rid of a whole section. All I have to do is highlight certain things. I can hit delete in there. But I'm going to show you my favorite part, which is how do I go and how do I change this into a component. So what I'm going to do is by selecting that whole section right there, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hit create loop components. If I want to go and create a link to the page, I can as well, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create a loop component. So now I'm just going to give it about a second. Don't freak out like I did the first, I don't know, 3 times. I was like, where did all my stuff just go? Right? Because it kind of makes it disappear for a hot second. Bless you. So now I can tell that it's a loop component because here I am and I've got everything kind of like squared off nice and purple in there, which is really, really neat. And because it's a loop component, I'm going to go over here to the right. I'm going to be able to copy this component, or I can share this location. I can basically share it to other pages, other workspaces if that's something I need to do. But I'm just going to share the component. So I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to hit. There we go. I hit the link copy, and then by default, at least for us, it's an edit mode. If for whatever reason I need to go and change this into a view mode, I can. I think that kind of defeats the purpose of loop, right? If I just here's what we decided. We didn't want your input, then you give it to them in view mode. But you know, the purpose of loop is for everybody to kind of go in there and be able to you know, provide their feedback. So I am good to go. Notice some other settings. I can set some different expiration times, which is really, really neat. Now that I have this, there's a couple of different things that I'm going to do over here. I'm going to say over here, things like you're out where we should go for dinner. My apologies. Everything's around food these days. All right. So a couple of different things that I want to go and I want to do. I want to, oh, notice the certain people kind of populate over here. These are some of the people I've been collaborating with the most in this case. And I just want to go and I want to type in at Stephanie, and there is Stephanie Stevens. Okay, I'm going to basically assign this to her. I'm going to say, hey, this is due by Wednesday in there. And then I don't need to change anything also. One of the things I'm going to kind of call out is the fact that this is live. Now, she did get an email because the second that I went and shared this whole workspace with her, it automatically did go in and notify her. The fact that I went and I mentioned her and I assigned something specifically to her, that's just me saying, hey, I love your feedback on here, is very, very important. Okay, Remember that I copied this component. That is going to be very, very important. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to now kind of shift into a couple different places and show you some different aspects of this. So now I'm going to venture off into my email. And this is really, really cool. What I did inside of my email, all I did was I hit paste. Notice how I have not sent out this email. Give me 1 second. Do you have access to the loop? Okay. So I have not sent out anything yet. And one of the things I'm waiting is I know Stephanie's going to be online and she's going to be going to maybe that second task. And my hands are up here, right? So everybody can kind of see my hands are up, right? She's going to be able to go in there and start typing away. And I still haven't even sent her this email in there. Oh, there you go. So do all my emails follow up? So she's in there collaborating. Now I'm going to actually take a look and see, and I can see just by hovering over her name, her initials, I can see that she's editing this. Guys, this is absolutely live. I'm in an email. All I did was copy the component, and I'm going to have her continue. I'm going to kind of go back so you can see. There she is inside of Loop. It doesn't matter wherever it is that I paste this component, it is always going to be absolutely live. The other thing that I wanted to call out is I could have invited Stephanie to just this component. She does not have to be a part of this whole workspace. She does not have to be a part of that specific page. It could have been just a component, and she could go in there and add it. Clearly, she's giving Bill some work to do. Bill stepped out. So in true Microsoft fashion, we're going to assign everything to Bill to make sure that he does it. So as I go back over here, now what I want to do is I'm going to go and send this to a couple of other people. I'm going to send it to Amy. I'm going to send it to Darren. I'm going to go and say Stephanie, because I think she feels she needs one more email in there and say, check this out. Would love your feedback. And now I can go and I can hit send. And once again, I just wanted to call out the fact that anybody can go and start creating components, start creating loops. It just comes down to what are you trying to accomplish? For us personally, like I said, we're just like, hey, this is a quick list. I just want your feedback. If you get an opportunity to do this, absolutely, like just go and take advantage of it. All right, now I'm going to show you a couple of different other ways that I can go and I can create it. So here we go. I'm going to go into a new email. Of course, we always have little tips. Let's kind of go there. Okay, so here we go. I'm in my email, and I'm no longer, I'm no longer inside of loop.microsoft.com. Okay, I'm just typing a typical email, and I'm going to start a new email over here with my friends, with Stephanie and with Bill. And I'm going to type in the body. So this is where a lot of people stumble. They're like, oh, I can't find loop. It's not in there. It's not in there, right? So I'm in Microsoft Outlook, and I have to click on the messaging. It's the right word for this. This is the messaging body, right, of that email. Once I do that, take a kind of a good look at your bars up here and see if you can see the loop icon. And mine is kind of hidden just a little bit, but I'm going to hit on the little ellipses and see under collaborate has loop components. So that is loop right there. And this is a great kind of visual of everything that loop can do. So now we're not working off of templates. Okay, this is like a mini template based off of just like what you're trying to accomplish. Do I want a bulleted list? Do I want a checklist, a numbered list, a table? So a voting table. So maybe let's go into the voting table. I'm going to kind of go and click on voting table. And now it's creating it live. I still haven't sent this email, so this one's a little bit different. I haven't sent the email. This has not been shared with anybody. So it gives me an opportunity to go in here and actually edit this just to make it right. So I want to say, we're going to go with dinner options. Back. It's all about Nice. All right, so we know where my head is at and Stephanie's head is at. We're all right. So here's what I want to do. There's ideas, pros, cons, and some great votes. Perfect. Dinner options, hurry, or you will be left out. In true Carlos format, we're making everything super important. I need an answer right now. So I'm going to send this over to Bill. I'm going to send this over to Stephanie. Now I'm going to go to like um, my sent options inside of my email so you can take a quick kind of look at this. And notice how instantly I see already, even in sent, I see Bill's already in there. Stephanie's in there. She can't make up her mind if she wants to stay or not, right? But I can tell that they have the component open and they're in there creating and typing Mexican and Italian food. This looks really, really good. I'm going to go in here and say about hotel food. Clearly, that one's not going to get anything. Pros and cons. Pros in here to travel. All right, so in this case, let me kind of see if I can move this over. All right, so carbs, quesos are some of the pros there, Mexican and Italian, hot wings and Coke. Okay, so you see how people are kind of voting. I am cons, Tums. I'm gonna vote +1 there for the queso. I like that one. All right, so this looks absolutely great. Everybody kind of gets the idea of what this could look like. This is we wanted to focus in on components because it doesn't have to be components. I could have gone and grabbed the page link and shared this page link, and everybody will have access to an actual page. It comes down to how much content are you working with, right? Is it one quick idea or is it something way, way more powerful? All right. So you get a little bit of a feel for how simple this is inside of Outlook. Now let's go to Teams. All right, so what I'm going to do inside of Teams over here is I am going to go and open this up. I'm going to go back to my favorite people. They're going to hate me by the end of the night. Here we go. We got Bill and we've got Stephanie. And I'm going to, that's good. And just so you guys can get a little bit of a good kick out of this, in true form factor here, you can see our chats from Wednesday. That's from Wednesday over here. Any dietary restrictions? Stephanie says none. And Bill this morning at 11:03 a.m. says, hey, here's everywhere where we can go and we can eat. So what I'm going to do, this is a typical chat. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a loop component again. So I want you to look over here in the bar, in the messaging bar, all the way to the right. You see this little loop logo? If I click on that logo, it's going to open a nice little component. It's going to default over here to what we call loop paragraph. Notice I have a sensitivity label in there, and it's letting me know just because of our current policies, your policies might be a little bit different. Who can edit this? So this is not something I can go and just share with the world. This is right now very internal to just our institution and doesn't have to be a loop paragraph. I can go in here and start creating a table, a bulleted list, a checklist, a voting table, which we just did. Or if I want some more, I can go over here and click on the ellipses. And I'm just going to call out a couple different things. If you're maybe you're writing some Python, some different types of code, you can. If you want your Kanban board as well, there it is, Q&A session. But for us, it's just nice and simple. We're probably going to do something like a simple paragraph, or maybe we just want to just brainstorm and have no structure whatsoever. So I'm going to put in here, and they're going to come in here in just a second. What do you guys think? And I'm going to go and I'm going to hit send. So while I go and I hit send, there's my loop paragraph over here, and we're going to give it a title. Our title should be, oh, there goes Stephanie. Steph is the best.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm going to go in here and say, is there a place? Yeah, disagree. And I can go in here and I can start typing something else. Alabama. Who does Alabama play next week in football? I believe they are, oh, somebody's going to keep me honest over here, 7-2 or 8-2. Can't remember. Nice. So this is what Stephanie did over here. She just mentioned, in case you couldn't hear her, she said that she used Copilot in there to create a note, a poem, create a poem about dinner in Tuscaloosa. Nice. Um, what's also nice, once again, over here is if I need to share this into a different location once again, or I want to copy this component, I want to bring somebody else in, I absolutely can. Wanted to show you guys once again how simple it is to just kind of recap everything that we've been talking about. This is a nice, simple Teams message. We showed you how to create components. We showed you how to do this inside of Outlook, how to do this inside of Teams, which are two of the easiest places to kind of go and work off of Teams, or if you want to work off of the full dashboard and go to loop.microsoft.com, you're more than welcome to do that. So I'm going to just quickly pause over here and see if anybody, I have not been looking at the chat, if anybody has any burning questions. So the question is there a way to track versions during loop? No, not to my knowledge. There isn't. There's no version history necessarily. That's something that we would have in like Word or OneNote in our traditional Office applications. This is really more for, I want you to think about it, instant gratification, instant communication. Um, so yeah, not for that, not yet, but I know, yeah, fun fact, some of the key designers of Loop were actually former higher ed faculty. So I'd
He
be,
says at the bottom of his question, is it expected to be way too dynamic for tracking all that? And I think that's it. That's the
yeah,
difference. We still have Word to do that, but
yep, that's definitely something I would do with Word. Oh, absolutely. Shift over here, see if any other questions, any other burning questions? That's it. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to kind of go and shift and share some last kind of minute resources over here. Couple of things to kind of keep in mind if you want to see some documentation. Like I said, I'm going to share this whole presentation with you guys, and it's not going to be just a loop one. I'm actually going to share a link that's going to have the Copilot presentations, the loop presentations. So some really, really fun stuff over there. If you want to get Loop for your mobile phone, you're more than welcome to go and do that as well. I'll share those links with you or you can just type in aka.ms/loop iOS or loop Android. Great for your phone. For whatever reason, I personally have not really gravitated to the phone. I gravitate to the phone for everything, but not for Loop. I think it's just because
you know what I will
I'm on my
say is
PC.
that it's much easier, faster for me to co-edit in a loop on my phone than it is to open up a Word or an Excel, etc. So when I'm traveling, it's much easier for me to be able to do that on a loop.
So Stephanie says that when she travels, it is so much easier for her to kind of do this on her phone. I could see that. I could see that
Yeah.
from a distraction perspective. You just want to kind of focus on
The UI too looks a little bit
nicer.
yeah, simplified on mobile in Loop than it does maybe in some of our other apps.
Yep. Yep. If you want to connect and learn some more, there's some really, really good LinkedIn learning courses. If you want to go and follow Loop on social media, they are very, very active in there, just at Microsoft Loop. Please feel free to take a look at that. Like I said, I'll share all of these resources. And here is the link to the actual presentation, which is aka.ms/Bama Copilot. That will actually go and give you full access to this very, very long, probably PDF in there. And there's different sections. And obviously, you'll see probably smack in the middle is going to be the loop content in there. If you guys would like to connect or have any other questions, as you saw my email, it's a little bit out of control. I'm still working on it. My goal is to see if I can hit that 0 magic number by the end of the night. But Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel a lot more social pressure to respond back in LinkedIn if there's any type of loop related questions. In there, also put the link to the presentation on the bottom just in case. We'll be more than happy to go and answer those. Okay, and then the absolute last comment here around loop. Please take some time and just play with it. You're not gonna go and break something or do some damage in there. Go figure out where you think you want to test this. Pick your best friend, your work buddy, right? And say, hey, let's test this out. And maybe we'll start off in an email if you think that's easier, or if you guys are constantly on Teams, send them a Teams chat and say and put in there and I would say put something funny. Put something that you know that they're going to respond back to in there and just see it work live and see how quickly it is that you can kind of go back and forth. This is not a tool that's going to go and just like totally save your life. That's not what this is. This is a tool that when you're crunching on time and you just have to sit down and just get stuff done really, really quick. Let's crank a quick brainstorming session that normally would have taken 1 hour. Can we do this in 5 minutes? I've got 5 minutes before my next call. Yes, there it is. And even during the next call, since apparently, what is it, 42% of us? Oh, no, 43% of us are multitasking. In there, even during that call, we will see that all the time, large group calls, small group calls, where people go and add a loop component into the chat. So any Teams call, you can go and add a loop component as well into the chat. So don't be afraid of testing it out. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat after we are done. We'll definitely be keeping up with it for the next couple of hours, definitely, actually the next couple of days, in case anything comes to mind. Loop.microsoft.com, and thanks everyone.